The metro station was a cathedral of noise. Screeching brakes, echoing announcements, and shuffling feet filled the air. Then came the flash, a white-hot bloom that swallowed sound and unleashed chaos. Screams replaced silence as panic swept the crowd. Through the smoke, a masked figure moved with chilling calm, untouched by fear. A ghost, leaving only destruction behind. They vanished into the city, silent and unseen. It wasn't an accident, it was a message, war written in fire and smoke. Far from the sirens and chaos, Alex Kane wiped grease from his hands in his quiet garage, a sanctuary of steel and order. He had traded the deserts and shadows of his past for the simple logic of machinery. But the news on a small TV showed chaos, a metro explosion, panicked faces, and a figure in black moving through smoke. Kane recognized the deadly precision. It was Damon, his old partner, thought dead. The explosion was a signal, the past had come calling, and Kane knew the message was meant for him. Night fell over the city, draping steel and glass in shadows. Kane moved through those shadows like he was born to them. He was no longer a mechanic. The overalls were gone, replaced by black clothes and old instincts. He found Damon in a derelict warehouse by the docks where debts were settled. Damon stood by a shattered window, his face scarred and cold. He turned as Kane entered. The trap was set. The prey had arrived. The attack came without warning, a blur of motion, a knife arcing for Kane's throat. Kane moved on instinct. The fight was brutal and fast. A deadly familiar dance. In the chaos, Kane disarmed Damon and drove his fist into his side. Damon crumpled to the floor, gasping for air. Kane stood over him, breath ragged. The fight was over for now. As Damon coughed, a small black keycard slipped from his vest. Kane snatched it up, encrypted, military grade. Suddenly, the whine of engines cut through the night. Mercenaries, Damon's backup, or his handlers. Kane melted into the shadows, the keycard clutched tight as shouts and gunfire echoed behind him. Hours later, in a dingy diner, Kane decrypted the card. A blueprint, a name, a date, Ambassador Ishida tomorrow night. The name Damon had been a shock, a ghost from a past I had tried to bury under 6 feet of sand and 5 years of routine. We were part of an elite unit, Shadow Cell, brothers in everything but blood. Our last mission together was a disaster. A supposed safe house extraction in Kandahar that turned into a bloody ambush. I got blown clear. Woke up in a field hospital days later. They told me Damon was gone, vaporized in the explosion that nearly claimed me too. I mourned my friend. I carried the guilt of being the only survivor. Now, that guilt is replaced by a cold, hard anger. The betrayal cuts deeper than any knife. Damon hadn't died. He deserted, switched sides. The man I fought in the warehouse was not the man I remembered. The Damon I knew was loyal, disciplined, believed in our cause. This new Damon is a monster, a hollowed-out shell who deals in terror and chaos for the highest bidder. I keep replaying the fight in my mind, every move, every word. The world is gray, Damon had said. That's just the excuse of a man who lost his way, a justification for unforgivable sins. As I piece together the fragments of information, a darker picture starts to emerge. The ambush in Kandahar suddenly looks different. Less like bad intelligence, more like a setup. Damon had to have faked his death. He had to have sold us out. The explosion wasn't meant to kill us both. It was meant to kill me and give Damon the perfect cover to disappear and start his new life as a mercenary. The target of that mission was a warlord with deep connections to a shadowy private military corporation. The same corporation, I suspect, that's now employing Damon to kill Ambassador Ishida. The puzzle pieces are clicking into place, forming a conspiracy that stretches back years. Ambassador Ishida is a key figure in brokering a major international peace treaty. A treaty that would cripple the profits of private armies and weapons manufacturers. His assassination would throw the whole region into chaos, creating a power vacuum that corporations like Damon's new employers would be all too happy to fill. This isn't just a simple hit, it's a strategic move on a global chessboard, and Damon is their knight. Me? I'm just a phantom, an unexpected variable they never counted on, a ghost who's come back to haunt them. The target was the new Zenith Tower, a monument of glass and steel that scraped the sky. It was the city's crown jewel, a symbol of wealth and power. Tomorrow night it was hosting a gala in honor of Ambassador Ishida. Security would be airtight, facial recognition, metal detectors, private security teams swarming every floor, a fortress. For anyone else it would be impossible to get inside. But Kane wasn't anyone else. He had spent a lifetime learning how to get into places he wasn't supposed to be. He had the blueprints from Damon's keycard. He knew the building's weaknesses. He spent the day preparing, not with guns and explosives, but with information. He studied the blueprints, memorizing ventilation shafts, maintenance corridors, and electrical conduits. He hacked into the tower's security schematics, identifying blind spots in the camera coverage. He learned the guard patrol routes and the shift change times. He was a hunter studying his prey, learning its habits, its rhythms. The gala was the perfect cover for an assassination. A crowd, distractions, multiple escape routes. Damon would be planning to use the chaos to his advantage. Kane would have to use it too. His plan was simple, and incredibly dangerous. He wouldn't go in through the front door. He would go in through the guts of the building. A service entrance in the sub-basement used by a catering company. He acquired a uniform, a simple disguise to get him past the first layer of security. From there, he would use the maintenance shafts to bypass the main checkpoints, moving through the building's hidden pathways like a virus in a system. He needed to get to the penthouse level, where the main reception for the ambassador was being held. That's where Damon would make his move. As dusk settled, Kane made his move. He blended in with the catering staff, a ghost in a white jacket, pushing a cart of supplies. He kept his head down, his movements calm and purposeful. Just another anonymous worker in a sea of faces. He found the service elevator, slipped into a maintenance corridor, and the disguise came off. He was back in the shadows, a silent predator moving upward, floor by floor. The distant sound of music and laughter from the gala above was a ticking clock. He was in a race against time, climbing a vertical battlefield toward a confrontation he knew was inevitable. The penthouse was a world of shimmering light and clinking champagne glasses. Men in expensive suits and women in elegant gowns moved through the opulent space. Laughter and polite conversation filled the air, underscored by the gentle melody of a string quartet. Ambassador Ishida stood near the center of the room, surrounded by dignitaries and security personnel. He was the calm eye of a glittering storm. From a ventilation grate high on the wall, Kane watched the scene unfold. He scanned the crowd, his eyes searching for any sign of a threat. He was looking for a wolf among the sheep. He spotted them not in the crowd but among the security. 3 men. Their suits were just a little too stiff. Their stances were a little too rigid. They weren't watching the crowd, they were watching the ambassador, positioning themselves. Mercenaries, not bodyguards, Damon's team. They were setting up a kill box. Damon himself was nowhere to be seen. That was his style. He would have a sniper's nest, a clean shot from a distance. Kane's eyes scanned the towering windows that lined the room, searching for the opposite rooftops, looking for the glint of a rifle scope. Suddenly the lights flickered and died. The penthouse was plunged into darkness. A collective gasp went through the crowd, followed by nervous murmurs. Emergency lights flickered on, casting long, eerie shadows across the room. It was the signal. Kane kicked the vent cover open and dropped silently to the floor behind a large marble pillar. Panic began to ripple through the guests as the 3 mercenaries drew suppressed pistols. The ambassador's real security detail reacted instantly, forming a protective circle around him. The first shots were soft coughs in the growing chaos, spitting fire in the dim light. Kane moved fast. He didn't have a gun. He was the weapon. He took down the first mercenary from behind, a swift, silent takedown that broke the man's neck before he could make a sound. He grabbed the man's pistol and used the ensuing panic as cover. The second mercenary was trying to push through the terrified guests toward the ambassador. Kane fired twice, 2 precise shots to the center of mass. The man fell. The third mercenary saw him and returned fire, the bullets chipping pieces from the marble pillar. Kane ducked back into the shadows, the gunfight now in full swing, turning the elegant gala into a battlefield. The third mercenary was smart, using screaming guests as shields while retreating to the roof. Kane knew it was a diversion. Damon was waiting. The rooftop was a battleground, rain lashing down, wind howling. The mercenary waited, crouched behind machinery. Kane saw the red laser dot, Damon's sniper sight, searching for him in the storm. He sprinted and leaped across the gap, landing hard in Damon's nest. The fight was brutal and close. 2 old friends, now enemies, battling in the rain, one slip from the edge. Rain lashed the rooftop as Kane and Damon fought, years of friendship shattered in a brutal storm. Kane, driven by justice. Damon, by greed. The struggle ended with both tumbling over the edge. Kane caught a ladder, barely holding on. Damon vanished into the storm below. Kane pulled himself up as sirens wailed. He couldn't be the hero in the story. He disappeared into the city, a ghost in the rain, leaving only questions behind. The world saw only a shadow, a man who wasn't there.